The silent sentinel. The starlight filtering through the observation dome of Outpost Helios cast long shadows across Commander Elena Reyes's face as she contemplated the void. 6 months at the edge of human space had given her plenty of time to memorize the star patterns in this sector. The Deep Space Listening Post, humanity's farthest sentinel, monitored the cosmos for signals both benign and hostile. Most days were quiet. Too quiet. But Elena preferred it that way. "Another exciting shift of absolutely nothing, Commander," Lieutenant Patel said, sliding a steaming mug of coffee across the console. "Quiet shifts are good shifts, Lieutenant," Elena replied, accepting the coffee with a grateful nod. "The day we get excited out here is the day something has gone terribly wrong." The outpost housed only 12 crew members, rotating 6-month shifts monitoring the border between Earth Alliance space and the largely unexplored frontier. In the 8 years since humans had achieved faster-than-light travel and joined the galactic community, they had established cautious diplomatic relations with 17 alien species and trade agreements with 11. But humanity had learned quickly that the galaxy was not the peaceful utopia some had hoped for. Ancient conflicts, resource competition, and fundamental biological differences meant that alliances were fragile. Earth maintained a powerful defensive fleet, a necessity in a cosmos where strength often determined who survived. Elena was halfway through her report when Lieutenant Patel's console lit up with urgent notifications. "Commander, I'm receiving an automated distress signal. It's not on any standard emergency frequency." Elena set down her coffee. "Source?" "Working on it. Signals weak but persistent." Patel's fingers danced across the holographic interface. "It's coming from the Viridia system, about 12 light-years beyond the Arcturus Gate." "Viridia?" Elena frowned. "That's Viridian territory. They're isolationists, barely communicate with the Galactic Council, let alone humans." The Viridians were one of the more enigmatic species humanity had encountered. Photosynthetic humanoids with translucent skin that shimmered with bioluminescence. Their technological capabilities were reportedly sophisticated but focused primarily on sustainable ecosystem management rather than military power. "The signal just changed," Patel reported. "It's no longer automated. Someone's transmitting." "Put it through." The main view screen flickered, revealing a Viridian's face, delicate features surrounded by what resembled flowing, luminescent vegetation rather than hair. The being's skin, which should have glowed with vibrant teal patterns, appeared dim and flickering. "This is Elder Thalys of the Viridian High Council." The alien's voice was melodic even through obvious distress. "Our homeworld is under attack by Nexus Dominion forces. Our defensive capabilities are overwhelmed. Civilian casualties are significant." The transmission stuttered. "We request immediate assistance from any allied worlds. Our people face extinction." Elena leaned forward. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of Earth Alliance Outpost Helios. We're receiving your distress call. Can you provide more details about the attacking force?" The Viridian's luminescent patterns pulsed weakly. "The Dominion arrived without warning 3 standard cycles ago, 27 warships. They've destroyed our orbital platforms and landed ground forces in our major population centers. They're taking our people. Thousands are missing." "Taking them? For what purpose?" "Unknown. The Dominion communicates only through ultimatums. Surrender or be destroyed." The Elder's voice trembled. "We have nothing they want except our people. Our defensive capabilities were minimal. We never believed we would be targeted." Static interrupted the transmission. "Elder Thalys, we're losing your signal," Elena said. "Hold position. I will relay your distress call to Earth Alliance Command immediately." The transmission cut out completely. Elena turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Kim, establish a priority channel to Earth Command. Lieutenant Patel, gather all data we have on the Viridian civilization and the Nexus Dominion. We need to give command everything we have." Within minutes, Elena was facing Admiral Chen, Earth Alliance Defense Force Commander, on the secure channel. Commander: Reyes, I've reviewed the distress call, Admiral Chen said, her expression grave. This puts us in a difficult position. The Viridians have no formal alliance with Earth. The Nexus Dominion, while not our allies, control significant territory and resources. So we're just going to let the Viridians be slaughtered? Elena couldn't keep the edge from her voice. I didn't say that, Commander, Admiral Chen replied sharply. I'm saying this requires careful consideration. The Defense Council is convening now. We need to understand what we'd be getting into before committing Earth forces to what could become a prolonged conflict. With respect, Admiral, by the time the Council debates this, there might not be any Viridians left to save. Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly. I understand your concern, Commander, but we can't rush into an interstellar conflict without understanding the situation. She paused. What do we know about the Nexus Dominion's capabilities? The Dominion is a collective of 3 species that share a neural interface technology, Lieutenant Patel reported, joining Elena on screen. Their ships operate with perfect synchronization because their crews are linked at the neural level. Their technology is advanced, particularly in weapon systems and shields, but their biology is adapted to low-gravity environments. Their physical strength is approximately 40% of human baseline. Admiral Chen nodded. And the Viridians? Why would the Dominion target them? Unknown, Admiral, Elena replied. The Viridians are peaceful. Their technology focuses on environmental engineering and biotechnology. They've developed advanced methods for terraforming and ecosystem management. Their world is a verdant paradise, but they possess few conventional weapons. The Admiral was silent for a moment. Forward. All data to Defense Command. I'll present this to the Council immediately. But, Commander, she fixed Elena with a firm stare. Do not take any action until you receive direct orders. This is a complex situation with far-reaching implications. Yes, Admiral. Elena maintained her professional demeanor, but her mind was already calculating travel times and response scenarios. After the transmission ended, Elena called her senior staff to the command center. The Defense Council could debate for days, she told them. Meanwhile, an entire civilization could be wiped out. What's our closest response asset? Lieutenant Rodriguez, her tactical officer, brought up a holographic map of nearby space. The ES Sentinel is conducting training exercises at the Arcturus Gate. Captain Rowan's frigate could reach Viridia in approximately 68 hours at maximum burn. 1 frigate against 27 Dominion warships, Lieutenant Patel said. That's not a rescue mission. That's a suicide run. Elena studied the star map. The 7th Fleet is conducting exercises in the Procyon system. How long would it take them to mobilize? At least 4 days to recall all ships and prepare for combat deployment, Rodriguez answered. Then another 3 days transit to Viridia. We're looking at a minimum of 1 week before significant forces could arrive. The Viridians don't have a week, Elena said quietly. The room fell silent as the implications settled over them. What if we could buy them time? Elena finally said. Lieutenant Kim, can we boost the Viridian distress signal? Broadcast it across all frequencies used by Galactic Council worlds? Kim nodded slowly. Yes, Commander. I can amplify and retransmit. But there's no guarantee anyone will respond faster than we can. Do it anyway. And prepare a message for Captain Rowan on the Sentinel. Market eyes only. Her officers exchanged worried glances. Commander, Lieutenant Patel said carefully, are you suggesting we act without Defense Council authorization? Elena's expression remained unreadable. I'm suggesting we explore all options while awaiting orders. The Council may decide intervention is warranted, and I want to be prepared. As her officers carried out their tasks, Elena retreated to her private office and recorded a message for Captain Rowan, an old friend from Academy days. Maya, I need your help. By now you've received the Viridian distress call we've forwarded. Earth Command is debating a response, but these people don't have time for debate. I'm requesting that the Sentinel divert to Viridia for reconnaissance only. Get eyes on the situation, assess Dominion numbers and capabilities, and locate surviving Viridian leaders. Do not engage unless fired upon." She paused, aware that what she was asking crossed the line of protocol. "This is not an order. I have no authority to issue one. Consider it a personal request from an old friend. If you decline, I'll understand completely, and this message will be deleted from all logs. If you accept, people who have never harmed us might survive because of your courage. The choice is yours. Ray is out." Elena encrypted the message with a personal key she and Maya had established years ago and sent it through a secure channel. 5 hours later, as Elena reviewed reports on Viridian biology provided by the Xenobiology Department, Lieutenant Kim's voice came through the intercom. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the EAS Sentinel." Elena's heart raced. "Put it through to my office." Captain Maya Rowan's face appeared on the screen, her expression determined. "Commander Reyes, the Sentinel acknowledges receipt of the Viridian distress signal. As the closest Earth Alliance vessel, we are diverting to investigate under Protocol 9C, potential genocide response." Protocol 9C was rarely invoked. It allowed ship captains to respond to imminent threats of mass casualties without prior authorization, provided they maintained a defensive posture. "The Sentinel is not equipped for full combat engagement," Maya continued, her voice steady, but her eyes conveying much more. "But we can observe, gather intelligence, and establish contact with survivors. We might be able to evacuate some civilians. Estimated arrival at Viridia in 64 hours. Elena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. "Thank you, Captain. I'll inform Earth Command of your decision." "One more thing, Elena," Maya added, dropping formality. "I've taken the liberty of broadcasting our course and mission to all Earth ships within 5 parsecs, just so they're aware of the situation." The implication was clear. Maya was letting other captains know what was happening, giving them the opportunity to make their own decisions. "Understood, Captain. Godspeed. Helios out." As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Rodriguez entered her office, his expression tense. "Commander, we're receiving transmissions from 7 Earth Alliance vessels. They're all reporting course changes toward the Viridia system." Elena stood. 7 ships? Which ones? "The destroyers Thunderchild and Vanguard from the Arcturus Patrol, the exploration vessel Galileo, the medical ship Nightingale, and 3 merchant vessels, the Horizon Dawn, Star Ranger, and Nova Trader." "Merchant vessels?" Elena was stunned. "They're civilians. They have minimal weapons." Rodriguez nodded. "The captains all cite the same reason. Protocol 9C. They're the closest ships to Viridia after the Sentinel." Elena walked to the observation dome, gazing out at the distant stars where the Viridian system lay. "Inform Earth Command immediately, and get me a channel to each vessel. If they're determined to do this, they'll need coordination and tactical guidance." As her staff rushed to comply, Elena allowed herself a moment of pride. Without orders or guarantees, Earth ships were mobilizing to help a species they'd never even met. It wasn't the full might of Earth's fleet, but it was a start. The real test would come when they reached Viridia and faced the Nexus Dominion. Determination alone wouldn't be enough against superior numbers and technology. They would need something more, the unpredictability and adaptability that seemed uniquely human. The next 3 days would determine whether that was enough to make a difference. Steel and Stardust Admiral Viktor Korolev stood on the bridge of the EAS Intrepid, Earth's newest dreadnought and the flagship of the Special Intervention Fleet. 6 hours had passed since the Defense Council had finally authorized military response to the Viridian crisis. It had taken Commander Reyes' impassioned testimony, coupled with the fact that 8 Earth vessels were already en route to Viridia, to force their hand. "Status report," Korolev demanded, his voice carrying the gravitas of his 30 years in Earth's defense forces. "All 23 vessels accounted for and in formation, Admiral. reported Commander Sarah Jackson, his executive officer. Jump drives calibrated for synchronized transit. Weapon systems at full capacity. Marine contingents ready for potential ground deployment. Korolev nodded, studying the tactical display. The Special Intervention Fleet represented Earth's most advanced military technology, 5 dreadnoughts, including the Intrepid, 8 destroyers, 4 carriers housing fighter squadrons, 3 medical ships, and 3 specialized vessels designed for evacuation operations. Time to jump? Final calculations complete in 3 minutes, Admiral. Korolev activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is Admiral Korolev. In minutes, we will jump to the Viridia system where we expect to engage hostile forces. The Nexus Dominion has attacked a peaceful civilization without provocation or warning. Our mission is clear. Protect the Viridian people, neutralize the Dominion threat, and demonstrate that such aggression will not stand unchallenged. He paused, knowing that his next words would be remembered. You have all studied the data on Dominion capabilities. Their technology is impressive. Their neural-linked ships move with perfect coordination, but they have never faced humans in combat. They have never encountered a species that evolved on a high-gravity death world like Earth. Throughout the fleet, crews listened intently as Korolev continued. Humanity's strength has never been in technological superiority. Our advantage lies in our adaptability, our unpredictability, and our tenacity. The Dominion expects programmed responses and perfect logic. Give them chaos. Give them the unexpected. Show them what it means to face the children of Earth. Commander Jackson approached with a data tablet. Admiral, final report from intelligence. The civilian vessels that arrived at Viridia have established communication with the Viridian Defense Force remnants. Captain Rowan's Sentinel has been conducting hit-and-run operations for the past 15 hours, drawing Dominion forces away from population centers. Casualties? The merchant vessel Nova Trader was lost with all hands. The Sentinel has sustained significant damage but remains operational. The medical ship Nightingale has evacuated approximately 2,000 Viridian civilians to the planet's northern polar regions, which remain contested but not fully occupied. Korolev's expression darkened. The Nova Trader was a civilian vessel. Its crew volunteered knowing the risks, but their sacrifice will be honored. He turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Hayes, update target priorities. When we arrive, I want immediate identification of the Dominion command vessels. Sir, Hayes replied. Intelligence suggests the Dominion fleet doesn't operate with traditional command ships. All vessels appear to function as part of a unified network. Every network has nodes of greater importance, Korolev countered. Find their communication patterns. Identify which ships coordinate their attacks. Those become our primary targets. Jump calculations complete, Admiral, announced the navigation officer. Fleet is synchronized and ready. Korolev took his command chair. All ships, prepare for jump on my mark. Remember your training. Remember why we fight. 3, 2, 1. Execute jump. Space distorted around the 23 vessels of the Special Intervention Fleet as their jump drives activated simultaneously. For a brief, disorienting moment, the ships existed in a state between normal space and somewhere else. A realm of twisted physics that allowed them to cross vast distances almost instantaneously. Then reality reasserted itself, and the fleet emerged in the Viridia system. The scene that greeted them was one of devastation and ongoing battle. Viridia Prime, a blue-green world that should have been a jewel of life, bore visible scars of orbital bombardment. Massive Dominion warships, angular and ominous with pulsing energy lines across their black hulls, surrounded the planet. Several were engaged with the remnants of the Viridian Defense Forces, small, elegant vessels that moved with surprising agility but whose weapons seemed to barely impact the Dominion ship's shields. And there, darting between 2 larger Dominion vessels, was the Earth frigate Sentinel. Its hull showed signs of multiple hits, but it continued to harass the much larger enemy ships, drawing their fire away from the planet. All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Korolev ordered. Carriers, launch fighter screens, target Dominion vessels currently engaged with friendly forces. Weapons free. The human fleet accelerated toward the planet, spreading into a three-dimensional attack formation designed to prevent the Dominion ships from concentrating their fire. From the carriers, swarms of fighters launched, sleek, agile craft piloted by humans trained to operate in the chaotic conditions of space combat. Lieutenant Commander Aisha Kazemi led Ghost Squadron from the carrier Dauntless, her fighter accelerating toward the nearest Dominion warship. "Ghosts, form up," she commanded her 12 pilots. "Remember the briefing? Their point defense systems are designed to track predictable vectors. Randomize your approach patterns. Never fly straight for more than 3 seconds." "They're big." "Bastards, Commander," observed her wingman, Lieutenant Wells. "Targeting systems are having trouble finding vulnerable points through those shields." "Then we'll have to get closer," Kazemi replied. "Follow my lead." She pushed her fighter into a spiraling approach, constantly changing vector while maintaining overall progress toward the Dominion vessel. The enemy's defense systems fired energy pulses with mathematical precision, but at targets following logical trajectories, not the seemingly erratic path Kazemi flew. The squadron followed her example, 12 fighters approaching from different angles, none following predictable paths. The Dominion's defenses, designed to counter conventional military tactics, struggled to track the human pilots who flew by instinct and improvisation rather than programmed patterns. "I'm reading fluctuations in their shield grid," Kazemi announced, as her sensors gathered data during the approach. "There's a pattern to the energy distribution. Shields are cycled to strengthen whichever section is under heaviest attack." "So they're predictable," Wells concluded. "Exactly. Ghost Squadron, new tactic. Target grid section K7 with everything you've got. When their shields redirect strength there, switch immediately to section D3. The power transfer will leave it vulnerable for approximately 1.8 seconds. The human fighters executed the plan with precision born of countless hours of training. The first volley of missiles hammered the Dominion ship's upper quadrant, causing its shields to flare brightly as they absorbed the impact. The second volley, hitting a completely different section moments later, punched through the temporarily weakened shields. "Direct hit!" Wells shouted. "We've breached their hull!" "All fighters, target that breach! Widen it!" Kazemi ordered, her fighter diving toward the damaged section. Across the battlefield, human vessels engaged the Dominion ships with similar tactics, unpredictable movements, coordinated but apparently chaotic attacks, and a willingness to take calculated risks that the neural-linked Dominion crews found difficult to counter. On the Intrepid's bridge, Admiral Korolev watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. "They're adapting to our tactics, but too slowly. Their neural network gives them perfect coordination but slows their decision-making. When faced with unexpected situations, exploit that weakness." The Dominion vessels began to adjust their formation, attempting to create a defensive perimeter that would allow them to concentrate their firepower against the human fleet. It was a sound strategy, but it meant pulling ships away from the planet, exactly what Korolev had hoped for. "Sir," Commander Jackson reported, "we've established communication with the Viridian Defense Command. Elder Thalos is requesting to speak with the fleet commander." "Put him through." The main view screen showed the same Viridian who had sent the original distress call, though his condition appeared to have deteriorated. The luminescent patterns on his skin were dimmer, pulsing weakly. "Admiral Korolev of Earth," the Elder said, his melodic voice strained. "You have our eternal gratitude for answering our call when the Galactic Council abandoned us to our fate." "We're not done yet, Elder," Korolev replied. "What's the situation on the ground?" 3 of our 7 major cities have been completely overrun. The Dominion has established processing centers where they're—" the Elder's voice faltered, "where they're extracting our people. The survivors have retreated to the forest regions and underground sanctuary complexes, but the Dominion ground forces are hunting them systematically." "Extracting? For what purpose?" "We've learned through captured communications that they're harvesting our neural tissue. Viridians have unique bioelectric properties that their technology can utilize. They're consuming us to enhance their neural network. The bridge fell silent as the implications became clear. The Dominion wasn't just conquering, it was harvesting sentient beings. Korolev's expression hardened. Elder Thalos, we're deploying ground forces to secure safe zones and evacuate your people. Can your defense forces coordinate with our Marines? Yes, Admiral. We will transmit all tactical data immediately. As the transmission ended, Korolev turned to his communications officer. Signal Major Chen. The Marine deployment begins now. Priority is the protection of Viridian civilians and disruption of these processing centers. Throughout the fleet, drop ships prepared for atmospheric entry. The Intrepid shuddered as it absorbed a direct hit from a Dominion warship. Shields! Holding at 82%, Admiral, reported Lieutenant Hayes. 3 Dominion vessels are breaking off to intercept our troop transports. Redirect destroyers Tsunami and Valkyrie to provide cover, Korolev ordered. And signal Captain Rowan on the Sentinel. Tell her well done. Now fall back and get her. Ship repaired. She's done enough. As the battle intensified, the differences between human and Dominion tactics became increasingly apparent. The Dominion ships moved with perfect synchronization, their formations mathematically precise, their attacks coordinated to maximize efficiency. But they struggled to adapt to the humans' seemingly chaotic approach to space combat. Earth ships rarely maintained formation for long, constantly breaking and reforming into new patterns. Fighter squadrons operated with loose coordination rather than rigid structure, pilots making split-second decisions based on intuition and experience rather than programmed responses. They're trying to predict our movements, Korolev observed. And failing. Each ship captain is making independent decisions within the overall strategy, and it's confusing their network. The Dominion's advantage in technology and numbers was being offset by the humans' unpredictability and adaptability. But the battle was far from won. Sir, Commander Jackson reported urgently, sensors are detecting a new energy signature. One of the Dominion ships is powering up something massive. On the tactical display, one of the largest Dominion vessels had disengaged from the battle and moved to a position where it had clear firing lines toward the planet. Analysis? Energy readings are off the scale, Admiral. If that's a weapon, it could cause devastation on a continental scale. Korolev made an instant decision. All available ships, target that vessel. Fighter squadrons, clear a path. We need to take it out before it can fire. Throughout the fleet, human crews responded with the urgency the situation demanded. Destroyers broke from their defensive positions to form an attack vector. Fighter squadrons abandoned their current engagements to intercept Dominion vessels, blocking the approach. Lieutenant Commander Kazemi received the priority order and immediately redirected her squadron. Ghosts! New target! Follow me! Her fighter banked sharply, accelerating toward the massive Dominion vessel, now glowing with ominous energy. 3 smaller enemy ships moved to intercept, their weapons tracking the approaching human fighters. They're protecting that ship, Wells observed. Whatever it's doing, they don't want us stopping it. Then we're on the right track, Kazemi replied. Evasive patterns, focus fire on their propulsion systems. We don't need to destroy them, just slow them down. The Ghost Squadron engaged the intercepting vessels, their seemingly erratic flight paths confusing the Dominion targeting systems. Meanwhile, the destroyers, Tsunami and Valkyrie, pushed forward, absorbing heavy fire as they closed distance with the primary target. Tsunami's shields are failing, Hayes reported on the Intrepid's bridge. Valkyrie is still operational but taking heavy damage. Korolev watched the tactical display, calculating odds and options. Order the Intrepid to advance. We'll draw their fire. Admiral, that puts the flagship at risk, Commander Jackson protested. A calculated risk, Commander. That weapon cannot be allowed to fire. The Intrepid's massive engines pushed the dreadnought forward, its advanced shield systems absorbing the concentrated fire now directed at it. The ship shuddered under the assault, but its thick armor and reinforced hull, designed by engineers, from a high-gravity world where structural strength was a necessity, held firm. Dominion vessels' energy readings reaching critical levels, Hayes announced. They're preparing to fire. All forward batteries. Concentrated fire, Korolev ordered. Empty the magazines if you have to, but take that ship down. The Intrepid's main batteries fired in devastating synchronization, joined by the remaining weapons of the damaged destroyers. Kazemi's fighters, having broken through the defensive screen, launched their remaining missiles at the massive vessel's propulsion systems. For a moment, it seemed insufficient. The Dominion ship's shields flared but held. The weapon continued, powering up. Then Lieutenant Wells, his fighter damaged and systems failing, made a decision. "Sorry, Commander," he transmitted to Kazemi. "Tell my family I did what was needed." Before anyone could respond, Wells directed his damaged fighter straight toward a small fluctuation in the Dominion vessel's shields, a weakness created by the concentrated bombardment. His fighter, engines pushed beyond safety limits, crashed through the weakened section and detonated against the hull. The breach was small, but it created a cascade failure in the enemy's shield grid at the critical moment. The next volley from the human ship struck the now exposed hull directly. The Dominion vessel's energy readings spiked chaotically, then began to destabilize. "They're losing containment!" Hayes shouted. "That weapon system is destabilizing!" "All ships, break off and maximum distance," Korolev ordered immediately. "Radiation protocols!" The human vessels retreated as the massive Dominion ship began to break apart, secondary explosions rippling along its length. The energy that had been building for the weapon release found no controlled outlet and instead tore the ship apart from within. The explosion temporarily blinded sensors and illuminated the battlefield with harsh actinic light. When visibility returned, where the Dominion vessel had been was now only an expanding cloud of debris. "Dominion fleet is regrouping," Jackson reported after a moment of stunned silence. "They appear to be reassessing their tactical approach." Korolev nodded grimly. "And so are we. We've bloodied their nose, but this battle is far from over." He turned to his communications officer. "Signal Major Chen. What's the status of the ground operation?" As the response came in, Korolev allowed himself a moment of reflection. The first engagement had proven what he believed, that human unpredictability and adaptability could counter the Dominion's technological advantages. But it had come at a cost, and the enemy was still powerful. The real test would be whether the ground forces could save the Viridian civilians before the Dominion fleet regrouped and launched a counteroffensive, and whether the rest of the human fleet could arrive in time to turn this initial advantage into a decisive victory, a new dawn. Among Stars, Major Samira Chen had experienced many hostile environments during her 15 years with the Earth Alliance, Marines. But Viridia's shattered landscape struck her on a visceral level. What should have been a paradise of vibrant ecosystems now bore the scars of systematic destruction. The once beautiful city of Lumaris, the Viridian's second-largest settlement, was a maze of crumbling structures and burning gardens. "Perimeter secure, Major," reported Lieutenant Rodriguez, her second-in-command. "We've established defensive positions at all approach vectors." Chen nodded, studying the tactical display on her helmet's heads-up display. 4,000 Marines had deployed to key locations across Viridia, with her battalion of 800 tasked with securing Lumaris and the surrounding region. Status of the evacuation? Proceeding as planned. Medical teams are treating the most critical cases on site before transport. We've located approximately 12,000 Viridian civilians in this sector alone. Chen looked across the makeshift command center they'd established in what had once been a Viridian administrative building. Viridian helpers moved among the injured, their dimly glowing skin casting soft light in the darkened structure. Unlike humans, the photosynthetic Viridians didn't need artificial illumination to see. Their bioluminescence provided sufficient light for their sensitive eyes. A tall Viridian approached, the patterns on his skin marking him as a military leader according to the cultural briefing Chen had received. "Major Chen, I am Sentinel Valaris of the Viridian Defense Force." His voice carried the same melodic quality all Viridians shared. "My remaining units are at your disposal." "Thank you, Sentinel," Chen replied. "What can you tell me about the Dominion ground forces in this sector?" Valaris gestured to the tactical display, his luminescent fingertips leaving temporary trails of light as he indicated different areas. "Their main processing facility is located here, in what was our central medical complex. They've established forwarding patrols in these sectors, and their ground transports move between this facility and their landing ships approximately every 4 hours. Processing facility." Chen's expression hardened at the euphemism. "That's where they're taking your people." Valaris's light patterns dimmed noticeably, the Viridian equivalent of a pained expression. "Yes, few emerge alive. Those who do are changed. Their light is gone, their minds emptied. We believe they extract neural tissue that contains our unique bioelectrical patterns. For what purpose? To enhance their neural network technology. Our brain tissue can apparently be integrated with their systems, expanding the bandwidth and range of their collective consciousness. Chen had encountered many atrocities during her career, but harvesting sentient beings for their neural tissue was a new horror. "We need to shut down that facility immediately. How many of your people might still be alive inside?" "Based on capture rates and processing estimates between 3,000 and 4,000, Valaris replied. "But the facility is heavily guarded. The Dominion has deployed their elite Guardian units, mechanically augmented soldiers specifically designed for ground combat." Chen turned to Lieutenant Rodriguez. "Assemble the assault team. I want our best heavy weapons specialists and the Exo Squad." She looked back at Valaris. "We'll need everything you know about the facility's layout and defenses." "I will accompany you," Valaris said. "My people are there." Chen assessed the Viridian warrior. His species was not naturally built for combat. Evolved in a peaceful environment with few predators, they lacked the dense musculature and rapid reflexes humans had developed on Earth. But she recognized the determination in his stance. "Very well, Sentinel. But you follow my orders precisely. This rescue mission has no room for heroics." As the assault team prepared, Chen received a communication from orbit. "Major Chen, this is Admiral Korolev. Status report. Evacuation proceeding in all sectors, Admiral. We've established secure zones in 3 major population centers. Approximately 30,000 civilians have been moved to emergency shelters. We're preparing to assault the main processing facility in Lumaris." "Understood, Major. Be advised, the space battle has entered a new phase. The Dominion fleet is regrouping, focusing on breaking through to the planet. We're holding them for now, but expect increased attempts at landing reinforcements." "Copy that, Admiral. How long until the rest of our fleet arrives?" "The main Earth Defense Fleet reports they'll reach Viridia in approximately 11 hours. Hold your positions until then, if possible." "Will do, Admiral. Chen out." She turned to her assembled assault team, 40 Marines in advanced combat armor, including 10 wearing exoskeletons that multiplied their already considerable strength and speed. On Earth, the high gravity and variable environment had pushed human evolution toward adaptability, endurance, and resilient physiology. The exoskeletons merely enhanced these natural advantages. "Listen up," Chen addressed the team. "Our mission is straightforward but critical. We infiltrate the processing facility, neutralize all Dominion forces, and extract every surviving Viridian. Intel suggests we'll encounter their Guardian units, mechanically augmented soldiers designed for combat in varying gravities." She activated a holographic display showing images captured from earlier skirmishes. The Guardians were tall, with 4 arms, 2 natural and 2 mechanical. Their lower bodies appeared to be fully mechanical, giving them enhanced mobility. Their advantages: augmented strength, multiple limbs, and neural-linked tactical systems that allow perfect coordination between units. Our advantages: we're fighting in standard gravity, which we're adapted to, and they're not. We have superior reaction time and endurance, and we're not linked to a network that can be disrupted. She gestured to Sergeant Collins, who stepped forward with several devices. Collins has modified EMP charges specifically to target their neural interfaces. These should disrupt their coordination advantage. Standard tactics apply: use terrain, stay unpredictable, and aim for joint connections between organic and mechanical components. The Marines nodded, making final adjustments to their equipment. One more thing, Chen added, her voice hardening. The Dominion is harvesting sentient beings, extracting their neural tissue while they're still alive. Remember that when you engage. These aren't just enemy combatants, they're butchers. Show appropriate restraint. The double meaning wasn't lost on her soldiers. The grim expressions on their faces reflected the cold fury Chen herself felt. The assault team moved out at dusk, using the natural cover of Viridia's dense forest to approach the processing facility. Unlike human military installations, which tended toward utilitarian design, Viridian architecture emphasized harmony with the environment. Even the medical complex, now repurposed as a harvesting center, featured flowing organic lines and living plant matter incorporated into its structure. "Approaching target from western perimeter," Chen sub-vocalized into her comm as the team reached the outer gardens. "Sentinel Valaris, confirm exit point." The Viridian, moving surprisingly silently despite his inexperience with combat operations, indicated a service entrance partially concealed by flowering vines. "Maintenance access. It leads to the lower levels. Rodriguez, take Team 2 and secure our exit route. Collins, your squad deploys EMP charges at these coordinates." She highlighted positions on their tactical displays. "On my signal, we move simultaneously." The Marines deployed with practiced efficiency. Chen, leading the main assault group with Valaris, approached the maintenance entrance. The door was secured with both Viridian biometric locks and cruder mechanical barriers added by the Dominion. "Can you open this?" she asked Valaris. The Viridian placed his palm against a seemingly solid wall section. The bioluminescent patterns on his skin pulsed in a specific sequence, and a hidden panel responded with matching light patterns. "The override still functions," he said with mild surprise. "They haven't fully understood our technology." The original door slid open, revealing the mechanical barricade behind it. Sergeant Mills stepped forward with a cutting tool, making short work of the barrier. "Team 1 in position," Rodriguez reported over comms. "Team 2 ready," Collins confirmed. "Execute," Chen ordered. Simultaneously, the assault teams breached the facility, while Collins's squad activated the EMP charges. The targeted electromagnetic pulses were designed to temporarily disrupt the neural interfaces that connected the Dominion forces to their collective network. The effect was immediate. As Chen's team moved through the dimly lit corridors, they encountered Dominion soldiers who appeared disoriented, their coordinated movements now jerky and uncoordinated. The humans, trained to operate as individuals within a team framework, rather than as extensions of a neural network, pressed their advantage. "Guardian units, 2 o'clock, warned Corporal Diaz as they reached a junction. 2 of the fearsome four-armed soldiers appeared, their mechanical lower bodies propelling them forward with inhuman speed. But their movements lacked the precision Chen had observed in previous encounters. The EMP had disrupted their neural links. "Exos, engage," Chen ordered. 3 Marines in powered exoskeletons moved to intercept, their enhanced strength matching the Guardians' mechanical advantages. The clash was brutal but brief. The Guardians, accustomed to opponents who were physically weaker and slower, found themselves facing enemies who could match their strength while exceeding their reaction time. "Clear," reported Staff Sergeant Park as the second Guardian fell. But they'll adapt to the EMP disruption quickly. Then we move faster, Chen replied. Valeris, which way to the primary processing area? The Viridian led them deeper into the facility, through corridors that grew increasingly disturbing. Evidence of the Dominion's work became more apparent. Medical equipment repurposed for neural extraction, holding cells filled with terrified Viridians, and worst of all, disposal units containing the emptied husks of those already processed. Valeris's luminescence fluctuated wildly, a sign of extreme distress in his species. They've turned our healing center into a slaughterhouse, he whispered, and we're shutting it down, Chen assured him, checking the tactical display. Collins, status? Southern Quadrant secured, Major. We've located approximately 800 civilians in holding areas. Evacuation beginning now. Rodriguez. Western approach locked down. Our medics are treating survivors we've freed from the holding cells. Enemy resistance is intensifying. I think they're reorganizing despite the EMP disruption. Chen wasn't surprised. The Dominion's neural network allowed rapid adaptation. Their initial confusion would give way to new tactics as they adjusted to the disruption. All teams, accelerate extraction. Priority is getting civilians out before enemy reinforcements arrive. They reached a massive central chamber that had once been the hospital's primary treatment area. Now it housed rows of processing stations, each a nightmare of surgical equipment and neural interfaces. Viridians were strapped to tables, connected to machines that systematically extracted the unique neural tissue that made their species valuable to the Dominion. Set up a perimeter, Chen ordered, her voice tight with controlled rage. Medical team, begin disconnecting survivors. Technical squad, gather all data from their systems before we destroy them. As her team moved with efficient purpose, Chen approached one of the processing stations where technicians were working. The Dominion operators turned in surprise. They weren't soldiers, but specialized technicians, their bodies less augmented and more focused on fine manipulation for surgical procedures. They reached for weapons, but Chen was faster, too precise. Shots neutralized the immediate threat. Get these people out of here, she ordered as combat medics rushed forward to begin carefully disconnecting the Viridian victims from the horrific machinery. A warning flashed across her tactical display. Major, incoming! Multiple Guardian units converging on your position, Rodriguez reported urgently. How many? At least 20, moving in coordinated formation. They've adapted to the EMP disruption. Chen made a quick decision. All teams, priority. Shift to civilian extraction. Technical squad, set demolition charges throughout the facility. We're taking this place down. But the data, began her intelligence officer. Download what you can in the next 3 minutes, then evacuate. Chen cut him off. Nothing in their research is worth our people's lives. As the Marines worked to free the remaining Viridians and prepare the facility for destruction, Chen positioned her exo-squad at the main entrance to the chamber. Hold this position as long as possible, she ordered. Buy time for the evacuation, then fall back to extraction point Delta. The 6 Marines in powered exoskeletons took up defensive positions, their heavy weapons trained on the approaches. They didn't have to wait long. The first wave of Guardian units attacked with coordinated precision that suggested they'd fully overcome the EMP disruption. Their 4-armed bodies moved with fluid grace despite their mechanical components, and they employed advanced energy weapons that could penetrate standard armor. But the humans had positioned themselves strategically, using the chamber's architecture to create choke points. The Guardians' superior numbers became a disadvantage in the confined space, and the Exo-Squad's heavy weapons exacted a terrible toll. Evacuation at 60%, reported Lieutenant Rodriguez. 8 minutes until complete extraction. We need to slow them down more, Chen realized, noting the increasing pressure as more Guardian units joined the assault. She turned to Valeris. Is there a way to trigger the facility's lockdown protocols? The Viridian's light patterns pulsed with sudden understanding. Yes, from the central control station, but it would seal all sections. including our evacuation routes. Can you program a timed sequence? Lock down the outer sections first, then progressively inward, leaving our escape route open longest? I believe so. Yes. Do it, Chen ordered. Rodriguez, coordinate the evacuation timing with Valaris's lockdown sequence. As Valaris worked at the control station, his luminescent fingers manipulating interfaces designed for his species, Chen joined the defensive line. The Exo Squad was holding, but 2 Marines were already down, their armor breached by concentrated fire. Chen shouldered her rifle, targeting a Guardian that was attempting to flank their position. The shot connected with the junction between the being's organic upper body and mechanical lower half, severing critical connections. The enemy soldier collapsed, neural fluid leaking from the damaged interface. Lockdown sequence initiated, Valaris announced. Outer section sealing now. Throughout the facility, heavy security doors designed to contain potential biohazards began closing, trapping many of the Dominion forces outside the central chamber. The pressure on the defensive line immediately lessened, all civilians disconnected. From processing equipment, reported the medical team leader. Beginning final evacuation phase. Demolition charges set, added the technical sergeant. Ready to detonate on your command, Major. Chen checked the tactical display one last time. All Marines, begin phased withdrawal. Exo Squad, you're our rear guard. The evacuation proceeded with disciplined urgency, Marines escorting groups of disoriented and traumatized Viridians through the predetermined escape route. Chen remained with the rear guard, ensuring that no one was left behind. Major, you need to move now, insisted Rodriguez as the final civilian group cleared the chamber. The lockdown sequence is reaching our section. Exo Squad, fall back, Chen ordered. The powered armor troops disengaged from the battle, laying down covering fire as they retreated. Chen was the last to leave the chamber, backing away with her weapon trained on the entrance, where Dominion reinforcements were attempting to breach the lockdown doors. As she reached the corridor, the massive security door began to close. A Guardian unit lunged through the narrowing gap, mechanical limbs straining to hold the door open. Chen fired a precise burst that severed the hydraulics in its mechanical arms. The heavy door slammed shut, crushing the Dominion soldier. Final section locked down, Valaris confirmed. All personnel clear of the facility? Chen demanded. Confirmed, Major. All humans and rescued Viridians accounted for. Chen nodded to the demolition sergeant. Bring it down. The charges detonated. In a carefully orchestrated sequence, destroying the processing equipment and collapsing key structural points without causing a catastrophic explosion that might harm the surrounding area. The facility imploded, burying the horror it had contained beneath tons of rubble. As the dust settled, Chen looked at the freed Viridians. Thousands of them, many injured or traumatized, but alive. Their soft bioluminescence created a gentle glow in the gathering dusk. Get them to the evacuation transports, she ordered. Priority to the most seriously injured. Her comm unit activated with an incoming priority transmission. Major Chen, this is Admiral Korolev. Chen here, Admiral. Status report. Processing facility destroyed. Approximately 4,000 Viridian civilians rescued. Enemy forces in this sector neutralized or contained. Well done, Major. There was genuine appreciation in Korolev's voice. You'll be pleased to know we've had a significant development up here. The Earth Defense Fleet has arrived 6 hours ahead of schedule. Chen felt a surge of hope. That's welcome news, Admiral. Indeed, the Dominion fleet is now outnumbered and outgunned. They've begun a full retreat from the system. We're pursuing, but our primary focus is securing Viridia and treating the wounded. The liberation of Viridia took another 2 days. As Earth, forces systematically cleared remaining Dominion ground troops and established secure zones across the planet. Chen's Marines, working alongside Viridian volunteers who had rallied to defend their world, freed thousands more from smaller processing facilities. 1 week after the first human ships had responded to the Viridian distress call, Admiral Korolev stood in the Hall of Light, the partially damaged but still magnificent central chamber of the Viridian High Council. Around him were the senior heir, officers who had led the liberation, Captain Maya Rowan of the Sentinel, still bandaged from injuries sustained in the initial engagements, Major Chen, her armor bearing the scars of ground combat, and commanders from throughout the fleet. Across from them stood the surviving Viridian elders, their bioluminescence still dimmed from the ordeal but slowly strengthening. Elder Thalos, who had sent the original distress call, addressed the assembled leaders. 7 cycles ago, we believed our civilization would end, he began, his melodic voice carrying through the chamber. The Galactic Council, to whom we had been loyal members for generations, deemed our situation too hazardous for intervention. They abandoned us to our fate. The patterns of light across his body shifted, becoming more vibrant. Then came humanity, a species many in the galaxy view with caution or fear because of your evolutionary origins on a high-gravity world. You came not with hesitation, not with half measures, but with your full strength and determination, Thalos gestured to the human officers. You risked your lives and your ships for a people you barely knew. You faced an enemy with superior numbers and technology without hesitation. You showed courage, adaptability, and compassion that humbles us. Admiral Korolev stepped forward. Elder Thalos, humanity responded as we believe any civilized species should when faced with such atrocities. The Dominion's actions violated the most fundamental principle of galactic cooperation, respect for sentient life. Nevertheless, Thalos continued, the Viridian people owe humanity a debt that cannot be measured. Our scientists and healers stand ready to share our knowledge of biotechnology and environmental engineering, fields in which we excel. Our agricultural techniques could benefit your colonies on marginal worlds. We appreciate your generosity, Korolev replied. But our immediate concern is ensuring the Dominion cannot threaten Viridia again. Earth is prepared to establish a permanent defensive presence in this system, if your council agrees. The elders exchanged glances, their light patterns communicating in ways humans couldn't fully interpret. Finally, Thalos spoke again. The council accepts your offer. More than that, we propose a formal alliance between our peoples, not through the Galactic Council, which has proven unreliable, but directly between Earth and Viridia. The proposal took Korolev by surprise. That would represent a significant shift in galactic politics, Elder. The Council has discouraged bilateral military alliances between member species. Perhaps it is time for such policies to change, Thalos replied. The Dominion threat has exposed the weakness in the Council's approach to security. Other species are watching how humanity responded to our crisis, and many are reconsidering their positions. Later that evening, as Korolev discussed the proposed alliance with his senior officers, a communication arrived from Earth Command. Admiral Chen's holographic form appeared before them. Admiral Korolev, congratulations on the successful liberation of Viridia, she began. Your actions have the full support of Earth government. Thank you, Admiral. The credit belongs to the brave men and women who answered the call, especially the civilian ships that responded without orders. Admiral Chen nodded. Their initiative has been noted and will be honored appropriately. I'm contacting you regarding the Viridian proposal for a bilateral alliance. Earth government has reviewed the preliminary terms and approves proceeding with negotiations. Korolev raised an eyebrow. That was unexpectedly quick, Admiral. The diplomatic landscape is shifting rapidly, Victor, Chen replied, dropping formality. The Dominion attack and Earth's response have catalyzed changes throughout the galactic community. 7 other species have already approached our embassies about security arrangements outside the Council framework. 7? Korolev was stunned. Which ones? The Alterans, proteons, tau, cetians, and several others, all species from what the Council classifies as marginal or challenging worlds, environments that produced evolutionary paths somewhat similar to Earth's. Korolev understood the implication. For generations, species from high-gravity or harsh environment worlds had been viewed with subtle prejudice within the Galactic Council. Their physical strength and evolutionary adaptations for survival in difficult conditions made other species uncomfortable. The unspoken assumption was that such Deathworlders would inevitably become aggressive expansionists. Earth's response to the Viridian crisis had shattered that assumption. Humanity had demonstrated that strength could be paired with compassion, that the same evolutionary traits that made humans formidable in combat also drove them to protect others. "We're being careful not to appear threatening," Admiral Chanday continued. "This isn't about forming a military bloc opposed to the Council. It's about creating a network of mutual defense agreements among species who recognize that sometimes direct action is necessary." "The Council won't be pleased," Korolev noted. "The Council failed in its primary responsibility to protect its members," Chen replied sharply. "Their concern now is that humanity's actions have exposed that failure to the galaxy. 7 Council representatives voted against sending help to Viridia because they feared the Dominion's strength. Now those same representatives must explain to their populations why humans succeeded where they were afraid to try." 2 months later, on Earth, Commander Elena Reyes stood at attention as the ceremony concluded. The Medal of Valor now hung from her uniform, recognition for her decision to retransmit the Viridian distress call and coordinate the initial response fleet. Captain Maya Rowan stood beside her, similarly decorated. The Sentinel's captain had risked everything to be the first Earthship to reach Viridia, buying crucial time with hit-and-run tactics against a vastly superior force. President Lee approached them after the formal ceremony. "Commander Reyes, Captain Rowan, a moment, please." They followed the president to a quiet alcove away from the main reception. "I wanted to thank you both personally," President Lee said. "Your actions not only saved the Viridian people, but have fundamentally altered humanity's place in the galactic community." "We were just doing our duty, Madam President," Reyes replied. "Perhaps," Lee smiled, "but in doing so, you've helped forge a new path forward. The Treaty of Mutual Defense, signed yesterday, includes not only Viridia, but 5 other species. More are expected to join within the year." Rowan looked thoughtful. "The Council still opposes these bilateral agreements." "Publicly, yes," the President acknowledged. "But privately, 3 Council members have approached us about joining the treaty framework while maintaining their Council membership. They've recognized that the old approach to galactic security is insufficient." "And the Dominion?" Reyes asked. "Retreated beyond known space after their defeat at Viridia. Intelligence suggests they've abandoned plans to attack 3 other systems. The demonstration of Earth's willingness to intervene has forced them to reassess their strategy. On Viridia, Major Samira Chen, now Colonel Chen, supervised the final stages of the joint defense installation being established in orbit. Below, the planet was healing. The Viridians' remarkable biotechnology had accelerated the restoration of damaged ecosystems, and the cities were being rebuilt with human engineering assistance. Sentinel Valeris, now serving as the Viridian liaison to Earth forces, joined her on the observation deck. "Your people build quickly," he observed, watching as modular sections of the station were moved into place by construction vessels. "We've had practice," Chen replied. "Earth's history taught us much about rebuilding." The Viridians' light patterns shifted in what Chen had learned was thoughtful contemplation. Many in the galaxy feared what humanity might become. Beings evolved from a harsh world, stronger and more resilient than most. They feared you would use that strength to dominate. "Some humans have wanted that," Chen admitted. There are always those who see strength as a justification for conquest, but most of us believe that strength carries responsibility, the duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves. A noble perspective, Valeris said, and one that my people have come to deeply appreciate. As they spoke, a new ship appeared from hyperspace, a Viridian vessel of distinctive design, its hull incorporating living components that glowed with bioluminescence similar to its creators. It was the first of a new class, built with a combination of Viridian biotechnology and human engineering principles. The Rebirth has completed its trials, Valeris noted with obvious pride. The first ship of our new defense fleet. Chen smiled. A fitting name, and a symbol of what's possible when different species combine their strengths. Throughout the galaxy, the events at Viridia had indeed triggered a rebirth in how species viewed one another. The old prejudices remained in some quarters, but, increasingly, the term Deathworlder was spoken with respect rather than fear. Humanity had shown that evolution on a challenging world produced not just physical strength, but moral courage, the willingness to stand against overwhelming odds, to protect others. A new dawn had indeed come to the stars, one where strength and compassion were no longer seen as opposing forces, but as complementary aspects of true civilization. And at the forefront of this change stood humanity, the Deathworlders who had become protectors.